Lotus blossom don't cry without any sun. Lotus blossom don't cry.
Okay, so here I am looking a little different to what I did in our intro. That was obviously what we got up to while we were in WA, and here I am now wearing a jumper and a scarf in Ballarat. In the winter. Can we see this? How cold. I am here. I am still in Ballarat. I am still in Australia. Fun times. Okay, so obviously the last couple of videos that I posted on my channel were going to be about, well, not going to be, but they were about us gearing up to go on our year of travel together as a family. We just had our daughter Cora, who is now 6 months old, and if I look at our calendar, we were actually meant to be in Thailand this month. And with all of the COVID-19 situation, it didn't actually go through, and I am so thankful that my family is safe and we're healthy and everything's okay with us at the moment, and we are not in a country where everything's crazy at the moment. We didn't go back to Europe, but I have a lot of things to update you guys on. So last time I checked in, we were in Western Australia visiting my brother and introducing him to his new niece, and we were getting the hang of filming and looking forward to leaving and going to Thailand. And we had all of our house sitting jobs lined up. We were going to be going through Europe, and we basically had jobs lined up till August this year. So we had confirmed jobs to go to, and yeah, so that's exactly what we were going to do. And then all of a sudden shit really hit the fan, and we ended up having to emergency fly out of WA back to Victoria before all the internal borders in Australia here closed. They are still currently closed at the moment. So catching a flight, I'm going to insert some footage into here because I did film us coming back from WA, but catching a flight and being at the airport during like kind of what I want to call like the peak of panic here in Australia was actually one of the most eerie and weird experiences that I've had. So there was like no one on the plane. The entire airport was completely empty. You couldn't get food. You couldn't buy books. Like all the stores were closed. All the restaurants were closed. It was literally just like a big hollow building. Go sit at your gate where you normally wait, and normally like you can't find a seat at your gate. There was like 20 people on the whole flight. So everyone had like a few seats distance between them in like the waiting lobby, but then they also, like everyone on the plane had like a row to themselves as well, which was like so bizarre just being on a flight. Anyway, flying back into Melbourne, we did like a car switcheroo thing with my mum, and we quarantined for 14 days because we'd been in the airport and been traveling and come into contact with God knows what at the time. But we were healthy and we were fine, and my mum has moved back into the house and we are still maintaining social distancing when we leave. And yeah, I guess that's Australia's sort of like current COVID situation. But in terms of the rest of the world, most international borders are still closed. So that threw a massive, massive spanner into the works for us as a family and what we had planned to do this year. So instead of filming all of the cool shit that I had planned for you guys this year, I thought I would do some videos talking about the stuff that I've already done. And I wanted to maybe give you guys an explanation as to my travel style and how we have sort of like honed the process and made travel really cheap for ourselves, and how we've managed to see a lot of countries and the way that we do it. So I wanted to sort of begin from the beginning, which is always a good place to start. But I pretty much grabbed a backpack and had $300 in my bank account. And I was like, you know what would be a really cool place to move to is New Zealand. And I think I was super naive at the time. I was 23, I want to say, 24, which is actually not that long ago. I'm not old. It is very much in the recent past, but already had the flights booked and there was no turning back. So I jumped on the airplane by myself. I landed in Queenstown in the South Island. I was just spending a lot of money on hostels and not getting anywhere. So I want to talk about that and how I sorted it out, how I managed to travel the country really cheaply, and how I actually managed to find work and accommodation and what I ended up doing. I also wanted to talk about the cycle tour that me and Yessa did, where we grabbed a couple of bikes and chucked some bags on the back of them and started in Singapore, and we ended up finishing up in Beijing, China before we flew back to the Netherlands to live. So there's a lot of information in there, and yeah, I wanted to do a series about that, the countries that we went to in between Singapore and China. So there's a lot of them squeezed in there, and I want to go into detail about places that we went in each of the countries, how we found it cycling, the people, how we picked up the language in certain countries, and how we found places to sleep and organizing visas, all of those like nitpicky things that differ from country to country. I want to bring out a series on each country, and then whichever country you're interested in looking at, you can just go to the video and it'll be there, all the information that you need in terms of traveling Southeast Asia. And then I guess as my last video that I'm thinking that I might bring out for you guys is moving to the Netherlands. And this was the first time that I had moved to a country where I didn't speak the language. So the biggest thing I wanted to talk to you about when I moved to the Netherlands was how quickly I picked up the language, how I managed to pick up work before I could speak the language, and different techniques and stuff that I did to make sure that I was learning as much as I could, and I was constantly developing my skills when I was speaking Dutch. But yeah, I'll be sharing a couple of those techniques if language learning is a bit of a thing for you, because it's definitely a thing for me. So I will share some of that information on this channel as well. And I think that should have us covered for a couple of months. I'm excited to learn, and I like making videos. I really like editing them and sharing my information that I know. And yeah, so I'm going to give it another crack. So that was it from me. That was our update for the moment. I will see you guys in the next video, which will be my journey into moving to New Zealand and all of the fun things that came with that adventure. And yeah, I will see you there. Bye.